Hello friends, it's Simone, your favorite neighborhood nerd. I just shared my top 5 pens I purchased in 2024. And I thought, you know what? Let's see what happens if we don't limit ourselves, or if I don't limit myself to 2024, but of all time. And so here is the list. On spot number 5, we have the Benu Euphoria in Jazz with a fine nib. I actually really like all the nibs that are on the Benu Euphorias. Don't discriminate against any one of them. But this actually was my very first Benu Euphoria. And it's still one of my favorites. I love the blue sparkle in here, and then the holo. I love holo in general, and so this is amazing. This is Benu Euphoria. I love this pen because it is absolutely comfortable in my hand. I don't post it. I don't think it posts well. No, not at all. I love the steel nibs that come with the Benu Euphorias. I actually find them more enjoyable than the Jovo nibs. These are Schmidt nibs. And yeah, so Benu Euphoria with, I'm just going to write Schmidt nib. They are smooth. They are wet, and I really enjoy them. They can handle shimmer inks, no problem. The nibs. And then the awesome, very out there, sparkly designs on all these pens make the top 5th spot of my pens of all times. Number 4 is not a placeholder, but it stands for quite a few pens that I added to my collection in 2024, but it still stands for all times. It is the Sailor Pro Gear Imperial Black. It has black trim and a black coated nib. It has matte finish, and that is the reason why it made the top 5 list of all times, because it is not just a placeholder for all the Sailor nibs. This is my favorite Sailor Pro Gear pen that I own currently. So Sailor Pro Gear Imperial Black. And especially the medium nib. The medium nib is smooth, is wet, but still has that feedback that people always talk about when they talk about Sailor nibs. I was never able to understand what that means until I tried it myself, and I am in love with the smooth nibs and the feedback that they have. Makes my writing experience feel very unique. I feel the contact of the nib and the paper, but it's never a rough experience. Oh, spoiler! This is on spot number 3 on my list of top 5 pens of all times. This is the Pilot Custom 743 in verdigris with a medium 14 karat gold nib. This one, I think I want to write this down because I think it's important. Schmidt nibs are steel. And the Sailor Pro Gear Imperial Black nib is a 21 karat gold nib. But on number 3, we have the Pilot Custom 743 in verdigris with a 14 karat gold medium nib. And this pushed the Custom 823 from the top spot because it is a cartridge converter pen. It is so much more convenient to use this pen over the 823. I love changing my inks, and so having a pen that is easy to clean is key. And so once I had this pen in my possession, I still love my custom 823, but it's just not in the top 5 pens. And this is a 14 karat gold nib. Please correct me, but for me, this pen is actually quite stiff. I think my Sailor nibs are bouncier than this. This is smooth and it writes amazing. The pen is extremely comfortable in my hand. I can write with this for long writing sessions and don't feel any hand fatigue. But it feels stiffer than the Pro Gear nib. And if you have both of those, let me know your thoughts, because I'm really curious if that is just my personal impression or if this is something that more than just one person experiences. Now, spot number 2 is my Christmas present of 2023. I purchased this at the Atlas Stationer's Black Friday sale last year in November of 2023. It is the Pelikan M800 green demonstrator with a fine nib. This pen has an 18 karat gold nib, and it needed to be this green demonstrator because I love this color. And I love the writing experience. It is a little bit short, but it feels very comfortable in my hand. I mean, the green demonstrator is definitely on the top here. This has a fine nib, and this is 18 karat gold. And wow, this nib is smooth. It is wet. It doesn't feel like it's gliding over paper and is not controllable. It's not uncontrollable, but it is something else. It's a really great experience. I love using this pen. Every time I use it, I feel like, wow, this is so good. And that's exactly how I want to feel about all of the pens that I own, and especially about the pens that are on my top 5 list. Now, before we come to the number 1 pen of all times, let's talk about some honorable mentions. I have 2. This one is my Lamy LX in Maron and it wouldn't be on this honorable mentions list if it hadn't a 14 karat gold nib on there. I think, and I said this before, but I want to repeat myself because I can't say it enough times, that a gold nib for the Lamy pens that have these this system here, you can find those, I believe, on the Lamy Safari, the Lamy All-Star, the Lamy LX. You can find it on the Lamy Studio. I believe there is even more pens with this feed where you can just easily exchange the nibs. Putting a gold nib on one of those pens is enhancing the writing experience a lot. And if you have a Lamy pen and you would love your first gold nibbed pen, I would highly recommend getting a nib for that. I also think swapping a nib on a pen that you already have in your collection is one of the cheapest ways to experience something new. And this is no joke. This is the Lamy LX in Maron. with a medium nib, and as I said, 14 karat gold. I feel the nibs are in, you wouldn't suspect that this nib is bouncy, but I think it is, and it feels really, really great when writing. It's wet and smooth. This pen particularly made it onto the honorables mentions list because I just really, really love the color of this pen. And then on the second spot of my honorables mentions list is this hideous Waterman Karen. This pen I merely purchased for the nib, and I wanted to experience what it feels like. I have a fine and a medium nib. This is the medium nib. This is the nib that made the honorables mentions list. I think this is specific and distinct enough that it stands out as a different writing experience, not generic, which is what I love, having a writing experience that is unique. And that is something I feel now that even though this is just a top 5 pens of all times list, I always have to throw in some insight that I have gained from experimenting and learning about pens in the past 3-4 years. It becomes more and more clear to me that I love a unique writing experience with the nib over a fancy pen body. I even purchase pens that I do not particularly enjoy at first sight, just for the writing experience. And this one was definitely worth it. This is the Waterman Karen in black with a medium nib. And yeah, it's moving up there really quickly. I haven't had it in my collection for so long that I could say, oh, it is even better than any of the pens that are on the list, on the numbered list right now. But it is definitely coming close. I can already tell, which is fantastic, which is what I love. And then, have you missed it? Have you noticed? What could be the number 1 pen of all times on my top 5 pens list? Well, of course, it is. Drum roll, please. The Leonardo Momento Zero Grande in primary manipulation light, which is a Jonathan Brooks resin. I think of all the resin makers out there, he is one of the most skilled resin makers. I'm not saying the others aren't great, but for me and my own love of resins, or not so much love of resins, I will point something out to you when I show you all the pens. I recognize his resins among other resins. When pen makers share their pens online, I can point out, this is a Carolina Penco blank, this is one. And when I talked to him at the San Francisco Pen Show, the amount of attention to detail that goes into his blank making is just fantastic. Just let's appreciate the colors in here. So amazing. He is, I have to say it again, and even though I do not have very many blanks in these, pens with hand poured resins in my collection, people who make these are artists, and you have to have an eye for that, and you have to know what you're doing, and I can absolutely see that with this resin. Now that we're done with admiring the resin, let's admire the chunky pen. This is this is a number 8 titanium nib with a chunking monster of an ebonite feed. It's so big, but it really works with this size of pen. It doesn't look too big, just looks big like the rest of the pen. And it has what I also really appreciate about the Sailor nibs, the feedback, but it's smooth and wet, and it is one of the most unique writing experiences I have ever had in my life. This is the Leonardo Momento 0 Grande in primary manipulation light with a fine, no, that is completely wrong, with a medium titanium nib. Now, I have to say, I do not want you to go out and buy a titanium nib right away, because titanium nibs are not supposed to be flexed. You need to have a very, very light handwriting with them. These nibs need to be heat set onto the ebonite feed. And I have also heard that there is not much, it could be that I have a really great medium nib, and then you get a medium nib and it's completely different. The line width seems not to be very consistent. I have heard. I've not done a ton of research because it will not be very soon that I'll add another one of these pens to my collection. So if and before I do that, I will definitely research more. I purchased my pen in person at the San Francisco Pen Show. It was heat set by the owner of Leonardo, Salvatore. He tuned and smoothed it for me, made it writable, and that is why I think I have such a great writing experience. I cannot speak for how this pen would feel if I had purchased it online. And especially at such a price, I would highly recommend being able to maybe at a pen meet, maybe test it before you buy it. I know that is so hard because most of us, just like me, don't live in places where we have pen meetups or pen shows even, or pen stores where we could go to try these pens. That's why I sometimes feel like it's so amazing that there are so many of us YouTubers out there who share their experiences with you, and that we have now we're not just the regular, dudes with the fountain pens. There's people of color, there's women, there is all sorts of people sharing fountain pen experiences on YouTube. And I think that is so amazing because you hear different opinions, you hear different impressions, you hear different things about pens. And you can pick that person where they love the Kaweco All Sport with a medium nib. I love that pen too. You can see how they hold the pen. You can see how it fits in your hand. And you can then compare and know, well, if this person loves this and they feel it's comfortable, you can actually say, maybe that would be a pen for me, because most of our experiences align and our feelings about pens are very similar. Still, it's not a guarantee for someone trying a pen for you, even if it's online. But yeah, I'm completely off topic. These are, let me put them here. These are my top 5 pens of all times. I think this is a video that I can do every year and see how it changes. Look back on it and say, oh my gosh, what was I thinking in November of 2024, on November 23rd of 2024, when I put this pen on the top. It's so crap because I have found something else. Let me know in the comments down below what your top 5 pens of all times are. Any of my pens make your list. If you're a subscriber and you watch my videos regularly, I want to just say thank you so much for your support by using my Atlas code, by watching my videos, even though sometimes I talk a lot of crap, because that is the reason why I was able to purchase so many pens in 2024, is not because I'm super rich. It's because you helped me be able to make YouTube revenue and get some payout from Atlas. So that's what funded all of those pens. And I'm so immensely grateful for you being here, taking the time of your days to watch what I have to say. I know that's not normal, and I know that I am super fortunate to have you in my community. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time. The next thing that I have thought we could do is talk about the nibs that I brought into my collection in 2024. So stay tuned if that is something that you're interested in. Bye!